This is where we take a whole stack of insights, research articles, and really boil them down to what you need to know. Today, we're plunging into the world of Richard Powers' novel, The Overstory. It's a big one. And our guide, our main source here, is this fantastic essay. It's called Powers' The Overstory, Roots, Resonance, and Rewilding.
Yeah.
It really gets into the heart of what makes this book tick, why it feels so powerful, so relevant, especially, with all the environmental questions we're facing. So our mission, let's unpack this analysis. Let's pull out the crucial nuggets for you about the book, its big ideas, and why it matters right now. By the end, you should have a really solid feel for why this novel has made such waves.
Right. And that essay, it describes the Overstory as, well, much more than just fiction. It actually calls it an act of rewilding the human imagination.
Wow.
Yeah. It frames it as this deep meditation on the natural world, our relationship with it, which is often, let's face it, troubled. And specifically trees, those silent, towering witnesses to our civilizations, as the essay puts it.
Rewilding the human imagination. That's quite a phrase. I mean, this book, 2018 Pulitzer Prize winner, it's clearly a landmark in ecological writing. But what's the essay really by rewilding in this context? What's the goal there?
Well, I think it suggests the novel is doing more than just telling a story set in nature. It's trying to fundamentally shift how we perceive nature itself. By immersing you, the reader, in the world of trees, it's aiming to break down our sort of human-first viewpoints and help us maybe sense the complex, ancient life that's always going on around us. It's an attempt to get us thinking differently, more organically, maybe.
And one of the really fascinating things the essay points out is how Powers built the book, the actual structure. It says it's deliberately arboreal, right? Modeled after a tree's anatomy.
That's exactly it. According to the analysis, the novel split into sections called Roots, Trunk, Crown, and Seeds, explicitly titled like that. And the essay argues this isn't just, a clever gimmick, it's fundamental to the message. It suggests we should maybe rethink how stories are told as something nonlinear, branching, and networked, much like the forests it celebrates.
Ah, okay. So the form follows the function, essentially. The structure mirrors the subject. Roots is where things start.
Yeah, individual stories begin there.
Then Trink introduces the main characters, brings them together.
Develops them, yes.
Their lives intertwine in the crown. And then Seeds is about the fallout, the consequences, and looking back.
That's the idea presented in the essay. It's a very conscious choice, making the form echo those intricate, connected systems the book explores.
Right. And speaking of characters, the essay mentions there are 9 main individuals. Their lives all get tangled up with trees somehow. And they're quite a mix, too, of Vietnam vet, an artist, a psychologist, a computer programmer, even an academic.
Yes, quite diverse. And the essay makes a point of saying Powers treats them with a real reverence and depth. They're not just stand-ins or symbols. The source really emphasizes they are fully realized individuals struggling with their own stuff who then experience this kind of profound shift.
And what is that shift, according to the analysis? What brings these different lives together in the end?
It's described as a shared awakening. An awakening to the life of trees, which is, older, larger, and more mysterious than we often dare to acknowledge. Their separate paths somehow lead them all to this deeper connection with the arboreal world.
Okay, now the essay talks about something it calls the novel's philosophical engine. And this is where, like you said, it gets really interesting because it pushes back against how we usually see things. This idea that trees are not passive background, but active participants in the world, that's pretty radical.
It's absolutely key, and the source stresses this. Powers isn't just making this up out of thin air, he's drawing on real scientific research. It specifically mentions forest ecologist Suzanne Simard, her work on how trees communicate.
Ah, the Wood Wide Web idea.
Exactly that kind of thing. The novel skillfully bridges fiction and fact to show trees communicating, nurturing, battling, and surviving in intricate networks.
So they're really not just like props for the human drama.
Not at all. According to this analysis, that's a central argument of the book. Trees are no longer scenery in a human drama. They become protagonists themselves, voiceless but central. They're the foundation, the context, often the drivers of what happens.
And Powers' writing style. The essay describes it as lush and poetic, but crucially, never overwrought. It seems like he can handle huge scale and tiny details simultaneously.
That skill is vital here. The analysis notes how he shifts perspective so easily, going from microscopic observations of root systems to the vast sweep of evolutionary history. He somehow makes science sing, weaving these complex ecological facts right into the bones of fiction.
But it's not just pretty writing, is it? The essay suggests there's a real urgency there. It's not a gentle book.
No, definitely not gentle. The essay highlights that urgency very clearly. It calls it not a quiet book. It's more like a forceful cry against deforestation, against our species' willful blindness to the natural world.
And against arrogance, basically.
And against the hubris, yeah, of treating nature as a resource rather than a community. That's the quote.
That connects directly to one of the big themes the essay pulls out, transformation.
Yeah.
How people change, profoundly change when they really see the natural world.
Yes, the essay traces that arc, how characters might start out as, consumers, tech people, skeptics, and through their encounters with trees, they transform into defenders. But the essay is careful to point out, Powers is no utopian. The novel's tone is often described as elegiac, aware of loss, and often melancholic. It's not offering easy answers or guaranteed happy endings.
So the hope it offers isn't some kind of naive optimism like, don't worry, be happy.
Not at all. The essay characterizes the hope in the book as something different. It's not naive optimism, but the kind of resilient hope rooted in a deeper time, a forest time. It's a hope connected to the incredibly long view of natural processes, something that kind of dwarfs our immediate human concerns.
The essay notes that critics compared the Overstory to some heavy hitters. Tolstoy for its breadth, Melville for moral weight, Thoreau for the environmental vision.
Those comparisons definitely signal the book's ambition, its scale, but the analysis also really stresses that it's unmistakably modern. It weaves in things like, the digital world, that specific loneliness of contemporary life, the crises of belief we're grappling with in the Anthropocene.
So it's not just looking backwards at classic nature writing.
Exactly. The essay clarifies Powers isn't creating a simple conflict, like nature good, technology bad. It's more nuanced. He questions the systems that devalue interdependence in favor of control. It's a deeper critique of our modern way of thinking.
And maybe one of the most profound things the novel does, according to this essay, is this attempt to shift the anthropocentric lens.
This is really a core insight for you, the listener, to take away. Powers is actively trying to get you to see the world as trees do, which means thinking not in the span of minutes or news cycles, but in centuries.
Oh, that sounds, deeply disorienting, but maybe essential for understanding ecological timeframes.
The essay calls this temporal shift deeply disorienting, but also necessary, and it directly challenges one of literature's oldest assumptions, right? That humans are always the central characters. In the Overstory, the essay argues humanity is decentered, not like devalued, but placed in context, put in its place within the much bigger, older story of life. So what does this all mean?
It means it reframes everything, our place in the world.
Pretty much. It asks us to see ourselves not as the main event on Earth, but as just one thread in this incredibly complex, ancient tapestry of life.
Now, the reception, the essay mentions it was passionate, but also kind of divided. Some criticisms popped up.
It does note that, yes, some critics apparently found the prose maybe too rich or felt the characters sometimes got lost under the weight of the message, that didactic urgency.
Okay.
But the essay immediately presents the other side, that many others see the book as an absolutely necessary recalibration of fiction's priorities in the face of ecological collapse.
So it's a book that gets people talking, arguing even. But you can't really ignore it.
Exactly. The essay says it refuses to be ignored. It's become a real touchstone in climate fiction or eco-fiction, influencing writers, activists. It's having an impact beyond just literary circles.
And pulling it back to the core message, the essay has this really powerful quote near the end. The Overstory is not a story about people who love trees. It is about people who begin to understand that the trees have been telling stories all along.
Yeah, that's a great line. And the essay explains what those stories are about. Stories of time, survival, community, and warning. Essentially, the novel invites and sometimes demands readers to listen, to reconsider the scale of their lives, and perhaps to act.
So this deep dive, hopefully, has helped unpack how the Overstory uses that unique structure, those compelling characters, the science, the powerful language, all to try and fundamentally shift how we see the natural world and our place in it. It really is, as the essay concludes, a towering, branching achievement.
It truly is. I think the key thing for you to take away is that invitation to a huge perspective shift. To see trees not just as resources or pretty backdrops, but as these complex, active beings with their own ancient stories playing out over immense time.
Understanding that really does illuminate the layers in this book, its significance, and its urgent message for us now, and leaves you with a pretty potent thought to chew on. If trees have been telling these stories of survival, of community, of warning for centuries, millennia even, What does it actually mean for us living our faster, shorter human lives?
Right. It makes you wonder, what might the trees around you be trying to tell us right now?